Some people just go through the day with their fingers crossed. See, that won't do it. You've got to study the things that can change your economic, social, spiritual, personal life. Now, here's a qualifying phrase. And we'll have several of these qualifying phrases throughout the seminar. Here's the first one. You may not be able to do all you find out. I understand that. You may not be able to do all you find out, but you should find out all you can do. See, you don't want to wind up at the end of your life and discover that you've lived only 1/10 of it. And the other 9/10 went down the drain. Not for lack of opportunity, for lack of information. Become a good reader. All of the successful people I know and work with around the world, they're all good readers. Curiosity drives them to read. They got to know. They just read. Become a good reader. Now, that's my opinion. Listen to the other lecturers and listen to me and make up your own mind. Don't be a follower. Be a student. Okay? I say, really, for life change, you got to read. One way to learn is from your own experiences, but another way to learn is from other people's experiences. See, one book might save you 5 years if you read it. Did you know there's books on how to be stronger, more decisive, be a speaker, be a leader, have a better effect on other people, develop your personality? Did you know there's books on that? And people don't read them? How would you explain that? And they can read? Did you know that hundreds of successful people have written their stories in books and they wrote down how they did it and people don't read it? How would you explain that? The guy's busy, I guess. You know, you get tied up. The guy says, well, yeah, you work where I work, but the time you struggle home, it's late. You got to eat a bite of supper, watch a little TV, get to bed. You can't sit up half the night reading. And the guy's behind on his car payment. Good worker, hard worker, sincere. But you got to be better than sincere and work hard. Otherwise, at the end of your life, you'll wind up cold, stony broke. You got to be better than a good worker. You got to be a good reader. To the pessimist, the glass is always half empty. To the optimist, the glass is half full. Why would the same measure affect people two different ways? Answer: it all depends on how you look at it. Our lives are mostly affected by the way we think things are, not the way they are. The way we think they are affects us most. There's a subject we don't have time to get into tonight called better thinking habits. One of the major things Shove taught me when I met him, he said, poor thinking habits keeps most people poor. Not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but they don't think hard. And Shove taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. He quoted me a Bible phrase that says, as you think, so you become. How awesome. When he talked about poor thinking habits, he had me. I used to start the day reading the morning newspaper. I mean, you can believe that or not. I'd get a cup of coffee and read the paper. I'd load up on wars and riots and murders and stabbings and killings and bank robberies and muggings and car wrecks and tragedies. I'd even read the back pages. I seem to like that stuff for some weird reason. I'd load up on all that, and then I'd start the day. You can imagine the kind of days I used to have. You walk around on your financial knees. They call you economic peewee. The guy says, I want to be a great leader. Wonderful. The first thing we do is follow him to his house. When we get there, We walk in and check his library, number one. Somebody says, well, why check his library? The reason is because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You would not believe what some people have got in their house to read. You would not believe. One of the best dressed up words I know for a lot of it is trash. Can you imagine dumping a barrel of trash into this mental factory every day and coming out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It can't be done. You might as well try making a cake with cement. The kids back in Danbury, Connecticut, high school, they're asking me questions one day. I'm talking to the kids. Kids got good questions these days. One of them said to me, Mr. Rohn, how do you build the good life? I said, it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Here's how you build anything. Select the right ingredients, keep out the wrong ingredients, and it starts with thought. Everything starts with thought. So you must be wise and careful what you think about, because that starts everything. You got to be wise and careful. I asked the kids, what would happen if somebody dropped sugar in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be okay. I said, what if somebody dropped strychnine in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson 1. Life is both sugar and strychnine. You gotta be careful. I said, what if my worst enemy drops in the sugar? They said, will you be okay? I said, what if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson 2, watch your cough. You got to be careful. See, it doesn't matter who hands you the bad stuff. It doesn't matter where you get the bad stuff. It'll still do its damage on your bank account, wherever you get it. Mr. Schoaf gave me one of the greatest phrases when I first met him when he said, Jim, every day stand guard at the door of your mind. How important. Stand guard at the door of your mind. And you decide what goes into your mental factory. Don't let anybody just dump anything they want to in your mental factory, because you've got to live with the results.
I mean, you know, this has been a long time in the making. You know, when I was a kid, all I wanted to be was on TV. You know, I don't want nothing else. You know, I got hit over the head with that. You know, you can't come from my school in 1968 and make the statement that you want to be on TV. The teacher clearly said, "Do you know anybody on TV?" No. Have you ever? No. Have you ever been on TV? No. Anybody in the school? No. And she was destroying my dream.
She said, tell him what you wrote on your paper. I said, I want to be on TV. He said, what you write that on paper for? I said, because that's what the teacher asked me. She said, Slick, just whoop him, because he ain't got no business writing that stuff on the paper. He said, what you put on the paper, boy? I said, I want to be on TV. He said, well, what's wrong with that?
But my father told me to just keep the faith, keep believing in that.
He said, well, Bill, this boy can be on TV if he wants to. No, he can't, Slick. He got to write what that teacher said put on paper. He said, boy, go on in your room. I'm coming in there. I said, okay, well, I'm getting the whooping anyway. So he came in the room. I started unbuttoning my pants. He said, hold on, boy. He said, what she wants you to write on that paper? I said, like a policeman or something. He said, well, take a piece of paper out, put that on paper. He said, now take that piece of paper, I won't be on TV, and put it in your top drawer. Take that down there and give it to that dream-killing heifer. And what I want you to do is every morning before you go to school, I want you to read that paper. And every night before you go to bed, I want you to read that paper.
A lot of missteps, man. Flunking out of college, you know, getting fired from some pretty cool jobs, and then, you know, becoming homeless, you know, breaking off into stand-up at 27, becoming homeless for 3 years, you know, living in a car, driving up and down the road, you know, trying to make it, all with this notion that one day I was going to have the Steve Harvey show. It was a notion. It was just a, you know, and I just couldn't understand why it couldn't be. You got to be tough, because the road to success is always under construction. It's never a clear path to success. The people who become successful are the people who have a relentless attitude. And you just got to hang in there through the bad breaks, because the bad breaks is coming, but they usually come right before the big break is about to happen. You get a series of bad breaks and it stumbles up a lot of people. My life and my success is to say to anyone, you can stumble, you can fall, you can get back up again. That God is forgiving. That no matter what you've done, He is forgiving. So I just kept the faith about it, man, and I attribute that to a lot of faith. My mother was a praying person. I believe in that wholeheartedly. That has a tremendous part to do with your success. It's in relation to your relationship with God. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but hey, what you want, you ask me, I'm gonna tell you what's happening with me. I can't be ashamed of that because you ain't really feeling it. Well, that's you. I happen to believe that. And so I think through all of those prayers and stuff, I got through the cracks and crevices, man, and that I looked up and I was 39 years old and I was on TV. But it took 39 years to get there. And it was a lot of years when it didn't look like it was going to happen, but it did. And I'm here now. And now this is a daytime show that bears that name, the Steve Harvey Show. I mean, you can't tell me it doesn't work, because I'm living proof. I mean, look at this stuff. This is for me. That's crazy. If you don't see the blessing in that and the miracle at the same time, because the odds of you really getting here is very, very slim. So I have to believe that prayer had a big part.
Listen, man, no matter what you've done, you have the right to be forgiven. Chris Brown. People still want to hold him to the fire. Yeah. But hey, man, at one point in time, you got to get your knee up off this cat's neck. You got to let him, you got to realize, here dude made a mistake. Now, he ain't done nothing like that since, so you got to let him move forward.